Hi and welcome to my video blog. If you haven't seen Blackfish, you probably don't have Netflix or possibly even friends. My experience with the documentary was sparked 3 years ago, my freshman year of college, when a friend of mine asked if I had seen the film when we were at dinner in the dining hall of our dormitory. Specific, I know. But my friend knew that since I was a kid, I had wanted to be a dolphin trainer. Yeah, my room used to be like dolphins, ceiling to floor, and like lights, wallpaper, decorations, my bedding. But the recommendation coming from her was peculiar. She wasn't someone I considered an animal activist or someone that watched documentaries frequently. But that's just it. That's how many Blackfish fans and supporters stumbled upon it, suggestions from their friends. And then they too suggested it to others after seeing it. Or it popped up on Netflix suggested watch list. So if you don't know, Blackfish is a documentary made by Gabriella Cowperthwaite in 2013. She first premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in January. It instantly drew buzz, so Magnolia Pictures and CNN Films picked it up and released it to the public in July. It was released via Netflix in December of that year. So if you don't realize, you have access to it already, and I highly recommend watching it, mostly because I'm going to talk about it for the next 30 minutes, or should I say 29. Since SeaWorld opened in 1964, their first location in San Diego, they have expanded to Orlando, San Antonio, and not to mention other locations in the Pacific under the name of Sealand, such as Laurel Parkway and Canary Islands. Throughout their history, SeaWorld and its affiliates have enchanted audiences with orcas, dolphins, turtles, sea lions, sharks, and more. They have created spectacular theatrical shows and exhibits that have attracted millions of visitors each year. Since the release of Blackfish in 2013, the public's persona of the theme park has vastly changed. Activist groups have protested to end breeding and the training for entertainment, while lawmakers have proposed, as they say, long overdue legislation. SeaWorld, for many years after the release of Blackfish, neglected to admit that the documentary had a significant impact on the downfall of their company. According to TheWrap.com, SeaWorld was down by 1 million visitors in 2014, and its stock price plummeted 84% after going public 3 months after the documentary premiered. Finally, this last year, in March 2016, SeaWorld announced that they would end the breeding of their orcas. They would not capture more from the wild, which they noted they have not done so in over 35 years.
See Shamu's all-new show, taking flight, spring 2006.
Joel Manby, President and Chief Executive Officer of SeaWorld, commented, "Our attendance for the second quarter declined due to the timing of Easter, record levels of rain in Texas, and continued brand challenges in California. These factors were partially offset by improved demand in our other park locations, including Florida. We realize we have much work ahead of us to recover more of our attendance base, increase revenue, and improve our performance, as returning to historical performance levels will take time and investment." When SeaWorld filed their paperwork to go public in December 2013, they did not list the documentary as a potential risk factor. Since their paperwork has been updated, it now notes, "An incident or an injury at any of our theme parks or at a theme park operated at our competitors, particularly an accident or an injury involving the safety of guests and employees that receives media attention, is the topic of a book, film, documentary, or is otherwise the subject of public discussions, may harm our brand's reputation, cause a loss of consumer confidence in the company, reduce attendance at our theme parks, and negatively impact our results of operations. Such incidents have occurred in the past and may occur in the future. In addition, other types of adverse publicity concerning our business or the theme park industry generally could harm our brand's reputation and results of operation. The considerable expansion in the use of social media over recent years has compounded the impact of negative publicity." So, are you wondering what the documentary is about? Well, spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Orange County Sheriff's Office.
We need SO to respond for a dead person at SeaWorld. A whale has eaten one of the trainers.
Tilikum, though, is the one that went after her.
Dawn is the senior trainer here at Shamu Stadium.
She captured what it means to be a SeaWorld trainer, that it made me realize what happened to her really could have happened to anyone.
I've been expecting somebody to be killed by a Tilikum.
We weren't told much about it, other than it was trainer error.
It didn't just happen. It's not a singular event. You have to go back to understand this.
The speedboat herded them in, and they could just pick out the young ones.
This is the worst thing that I've ever done.
When Tilikum arrived at SeaWorld,
He was twice as large as the next animal.
We stored these whales in what we call a module, which was 20 feet across and 30 feet deep, and the lights were all turned out.
Probably led to what I think is a psychosis.
All whales in captivity are all psychologically traumatized. It's not just Tilikum.
If you were in a bathtub for 25 years, don't you think you'd get a little psychotic?
Dawn would tell you that it was her mistake.
They blamed her.
It's just a bold-faced lie.
I was just instructed to get rid of the tape.
the industry has a vested interest in spinning these. That sells a lot of Shamu dolls. It sells a lot of tickets at the gate.
There's no record of an orca doing any harm in the wild.
So basically, Blackfish was a documentary about the impact of captivity on orcas, specifically the orca tilikum, and how SeaWorld has treated, spoken about, and interacted with these creatures for decades. Capturing whales has been outlawed in the States since the 1970s, when Puget Sound residents of Oregon were horrified by the sounds of orcas crying while being taken from their ocean and into captivity. Tilikum has been in captivity for over 30 years. According to SeaWorldOfHurt.com, at the age of 2, November 1983, in Iceland, he was taken from the ocean and his family. The two main focuses of Blackfish are the marine mammal's confinement and the separation of orca families. The documentary explains how confinement causes aggressive behavior and how SeaWorld separates mothers from calves. Both are believed to increase the orca's unhappiness and agitate them further. The documentary also delves into how the effect on these animals translates into what SeaWorld employees tell their guests. For instance, how the orca's dorsal fin is curved, how they grind their teeth and also vomit in captivity, that families naturally separate in the wild, the lifespan of orcas, and how the scrapes and physically visible infections are common in the wild, for which all of these are false.
Because the whales in their pools die young, they like to say that all orcas die at 25 or 30 years.
25 to 35 years.
25 to 35 years.
They're documented in the wild, living to be about 35 and mid-30s. They tend to live a lot longer in this environment because they have all the veterinary care.
And of course that's false. We knew by 1980, after a half a dozen years of the research, that they live equivalent to human lifespans. And every other potentially embarrassing fact is twisted and turned and denied one way or another.
So in the wild they live less. And then
like the floppy dorsal fins.
25% of whales have a fin that turns over like that as they get older.
Dorsal collapse happens in less than 1% of wild killer whales. We know this. All of the captive males, 100%, have collapsed dorsal fins.
And they say that they're a family, that the whales are in their family. They have their pods, but that's just an artificial assemblage of their collection, however management decides they should mix them, and whichever ones happen to be born or bought and brought in. That's not a family, come on.
So Tilikum is the central character of the documentary. Since being in captivity, he has killed 3 people. One in 1991, another in 1999, and the most recent in 2010. Dawn Brancheau was the most recent victim, which was, as Coworth Poit says, the entrance points for her to this issue. In an interview with IndieWire.com, she describes taking her own children to SeaWorld and becoming aware of the death of trainer Brancheau, and her disillusionment of her experience at the theme park with her kids.
I knew Dawn when she was new. She was a great person to work with, and she obviously blossomed into one of SeaWorld's best trainers.
She's beautiful, she's blonde, she's athletic, she's friendly. You know, everybody loves Dawn. She captured what it means to be a SeaWorld trainer. She had so much experience that it made me realize what happened to her really could have happened to anyone.
I left in January of 2010, a month before Dawn passed away. She was like a safety guru. I mean, she was always double checking, making sure that everyone was doing the right thing. So I remember she would record every show that she did and she would watch it and critique herself. And she was constantly trying to be better. When I found out it was Dawn, I was shocked. That could have been me. I could have been the spotter. What if I was there and I could have saved her? You know, all these things go through your mind.
Throughout the film, Tillicum is described as having aggressive behavior. It is noted as a symptom of confinement, according to TheWrap.com. In addition to grinding of teeth and chewing, self-infliction of pain by ramming their heads into the wall or even attacking a trainer are common for orcas in confinement. For Tillicum, the first occurrence of a killing happened in 1999 when a trainer fell into the water. Tillicum was at Sealand of the Pacific, an affiliate of SeaWorld in the Canary Islands, where trainers were not allowed to enter the pool. Kelty Bryn fell into the water and Tillicum pulled her under until she drowned. It is believed by former trainers that the new object in the water, being Bryn, Tillicum considered to be a new toy, and took advantage of the opportunity, thus killing her. Once Tillicum was transferred to the States in 1999, the second death occurred. Daniel Dukes broke into Shamu Stadium in Orlando, Florida, and jumped into Tillicum's pool during after hours. In the morning, Duke's body was found in the pool atop of Tillicum's back. Due to the timing and the poor visibility of the tank, it is unknown if Tillicum caused Duke's death or if he drowned, still to this day. His autopsy did conclude that he was under the influence. Naomi Rose, who's a PhD as well as an outspoken critic of SeaWorld at SeaWorldCares.com, which is a website used to contradict assumptions made by Blackfish by SeaWorld, quoted, "Since the body was found on Tillicum's back, it's unlikely the whale was behaving aggressively. The whale was probably playing with the man and continued to play with the body after the man died." As I said before, the most recent victim was Dawn Brancheau in 2010. Brancheau was in the water but not submerged since it was not allowed at the time by SeaWorld. Tillicum grabbed her by the arm and pulled her into the pool where he tasseled her around before completely pulling her under and biting off her arm. Unfortunately, it also occurred during a show, so the public watched as Brancheau died and most caught it on video. Fortunately, the event staff were great and did help to remove most of the guests, but some did still catch it with their mobile phones. It has been a common misconception that it was her ponytail that took her under, which directly shows the power of social media. That idea was circulated amongst channels and was ultimately deemed false by the court, but is still commonly referenced by the public. Ponytails are outlawed by trainers at SeaWorld.
Ecco il frammento di un video amatoriale ripreso da uno spettatore durante l'attacco a SeaWorld. Nel filmato si vede esattamente il momento in cui l'orca attacca violentemente la sua allenatrice e la trascina sott'acqua.
Well, now that I've basically ruined the documentary for you, sorry, I'll just make it worse and dive into literally every facet that they spoke about and how it's created social change in the latter. Most of it will be talked about in the former two videos that you will be watching. However, the documentary did create a term called the Blackfish effect. Since the release in 2013, Blackfish has become a popular film, but not by box office standards. Cited in an article on Mike.com, Blackfish is one of the most successful documentaries, reaping in $2 million. But the documentary and message have reached much further than that. Blackfish has been streamed, viewed, and circulated by millions of people. The purpose of the documentary is not to make millions, but to gather millions to make change. That's why the term Blackfish effect has been coined. The storytelling model employed by Coworth-Poit has been mimicked and written about immensely. As Mike.com explains, the cohesion of raw footage, expert analysis, and a strong argument that is clear and concise successfully mobilizes the viewers to make a change, which Blackfish did. During an interview with IndieWire.com, Coworth-Poit explained that the goal of her documentary is to not put SeaWorld out of business, but to rather have them redevelop their business model and practices with these animals. Since releasing the news that SeaWorld will no longer breed orcas, they have also added that they will end their theatrical shows by 2019. Instead, they will integrate more natural tendencies of orcas for their guests to view and experience. In addition, they've also sought out lucrative partnerships that we'll speak about in the coming videos. In the next two videos, I'll discuss the media trends and their effects of the overall impact that Blackfish has had on our public and the social change it's created. I'll also discuss the measures that SeaWorld has taken and how similar documentaries have followed the Blackfish model. Join me in the next video blogs to learn about the effect of Blackfish and how similar documentaries have reaped success and why others have not. See you then.